Coach at Stanford in 2012 and in 2015. Postseason basketball in March from Orlando. Off we go in an in-state rivalry. The war on I-4 gets renewed. Now with UCF in the Big 12, South Florida out of the American trying to come on the road and beat the Knights.
Look for the Knights to go inside.
Well, they do with Diallo for the first touch.
They feel like they have a little bit of advantage there, and they want to make this a more physical game. USF wants the game to be played off of skill. They move the ball extremely well. Most of their scoring comes off of assists.
South Florida coming off a loss in the semifinals of the American tournament. Lost to UAB, the eventual champion. And an opening miss and an offensive rebound. Gets him a fresh look, but UCF always protecting the rim. Stuffed out of there by Silla to get it back for the Knights.
South Florida is not big, so you'll see them doing a lot of switching because they're all about the same size and interchangeable parts, but they are physical on the glass.
That starting look for UCF, one of the best interior defensive teams that you'll see in all of college basketball. Coming off a second-round loss in the Big 12 tournament in Kansas City. Establishing that inside presence early. There's Diallo with another touch.
Diallo is very strong. He's very fluid inside. He can go right shoulder, left shoulder. He's very effective.
A little pace for USF, and the three goes down for the Orlando kid, Jose Placer.
Placer is a really good spot up three. One of the key things for South Florida, their ability to make threes. When they make 11 threes or more, they never lose.
They get their first one from Placer, a 38% shooter, and a jump ball. Placer after the hit, and coming up with a tie-up, and it'll be South Florida basketball right back.
There you see the ball movement, and Placer spots up and knocks down the three. Nobody moves the ball better than this Bulls team.
Nobody in the country?
I don't think anybody in the country. They are very, very unselfish. When you look at the percent, when you look at assist to turnover ratio, only one guy on this team does not have at least have a plus in that area.
Well, Placer just hit the jump shot on the setup here. Youngblood swings it. And a three for Pryor. Thuds. And the defensive rebound for Darius Johnson. A guy that can obviously lead the break for UCF. One of their top scoring options to go along with this guy, Sellers. A heavy dose of Diallo to begin this game. Not here, kept alive. And a foul will keep it down here on the grounds. And Silla went for the offensive rebound. Youngblood got him on the foul.
The Knights have a size advantage, and they're really wanting to take advantage of it and exploit it and put South Florida in a situation where they've got to double down to maybe help in the post area.
2 inches of size for Diallo over Pryor. You asked Johnny Dawkins, UCF's head coach, who's going to guard Pryor when USF has the ball?
He didn't want to give me an answer.
No, he didn't. We didn't ask about the other way, though. What are they going to do about Diallo when he's got a little bit of size in there? Well, back to attacking a matchup with Pryor. This time it's Silla from the mid-range.
And he's done a really good job of catching in the middle of that zone that time and being able to score it.
A head-down drive, easy to Brandon Stroud.
Stroud is going to be important on both ends of the floor because he's got to help him on the glass right there.
Well, you talked about it. This is the key for UCF, attacking the offensive glass, and Silla gets to the free throw line.
Yeah. They've got to figure out a way to block out and not let them dominate them on the glass and not let the Knights dominate them on the glass, because right now it's a full-out attack in the paint.
Well, that's been maybe the biggest indicator on if the Knights are winning games this year. +6 in rebounding when they win. They're -1 when they lose. So 7 rebounds of difference.
That's a huge difference. And I think what it also shows is their aggressiveness. and that can then fall over to their defenses as well as offensively being aggressive and getting the ball into the post people.
Well, you always wonder in the first round of the NIT who's going to come out more motivated. Is there anything that has indicated to you one team wants it more than the other?
No, I think both of these coaches are happy to have their teams here. Both of them look at it like it's been a successful season. Although I will say South Florida certainly wanted to go to the NCAA tournament and thought they were in a position to with maybe one more win in the conference tournament.
Amir Abdur-Rahim, a tremendous job. They felt like exactly what you said. If they had won that game against UAB that they lost in a high-scoring game and got to the championship, that would have been enough to at least get in that large, if not win it with the automatic bid. Turnover here, though, off the hands of Brandon Stroud, back to the Knights. You know, you can go down the list with the accomplishments for South Florida this year. The winning streak of 15 games, the longest ever. Their first top 25 ranking. They had that memorable win holding off the comeback at home against FAU. They're up 25. And Sellers in and out. And one and done for the Bulls on the defensive glass with Stroud clearing it. This is the most improved player and the sixth man in the American. Selton Miguel giving it up to Placer. Has a step with the quickness and two early baskets for Placer.
Placer at that time didn't care about the size. He drove in there and he finished. And again, the versatility of this Bulls team, they can take it to the rim and they can also knock down the threes.
Well, you can tell Placer is playing to keep his career alive. He had hands in on that play. He's the only guy for USF that's out of eligibility once this run comes to an end for the Bulls. And Coach, this is his first postseason game ever in his college career.
And it means a lot. I mean,
he's from Orlando. Getting spread out a little bit. It's the spread game against, UCF going inside early and trying to establish Diallo.
Yeah, and now you see USF really with the pressure. The Bulls are trying to extend them. And anything to distract the Knights from trying to pound the ball into the post area.
Another paint touch. That's short, but an offensive rebound and a putback for Omar Payne, fresh off the bench.
Payne is a talented player. He started his career at Florida, was heralded as a high school All-American. He's traveled a little bit, but he's found a home here with UCF.
A couple of early baskets for the bigs for UCF. Oh, upstairs, a foul is called. Payne got back into the play, and that'll bring the booze out.
Yeah, that's a tough call right there. That was a big boy block right there. You see Payne up top. See the effort he makes to come back up from up top to make the block. That's a good block. That's a good block.
I'm with you. That looked clean. Well, the UCF fans obviously boisterous about that. Send Corey Walker to the free throw line.
But that will also send a message as far as rim protecting, and layups are not going to come easy with Payne in the game. But look at the hustle. He was up top on the hedge. That's all ball. And the thing about it is that there's an official underneath that has a better view.
We've got Corey Walker, a couple of foul shots. UCF fans still stating their case. He didn't deserve them as he hits the second. This is a good student section turnout. UCF is on spring break right now, and about 500 tickets went quickly yesterday and got up toward 1,000 as far as the student give out.
Well, both of these student bodies are here, and they were going back and forth with each other before the game.
The coaches were a little bit subdued when asked about the rivalry, but the fans were not, both online and in person. Up and down I-4 since the bracket came out. Sellers at the end of the clock, a wide miss, and that's a shot clock violation.
See, now this is what happens to the Knights sometimes. They get passive on the perimeter. They started this game off by going strong inside, getting to the foul line, creating problems. The last couple possessions, they've been on the perimeter and haven't been able to penetrate. They go into laws like this offensively, and that's what has gotten them in trouble when they've gotten in trouble.
Score-wise, where do you think this game's going to end up tonight?
I think both teams would like to see it around the 60s, but, you know, it could go either way, just depending on turnovers and shots and 3 points falling.
Both have really good defenses. USF the best in the American, UCF top 15 in the country. And there's some of that defense showing up, leaving to Avery on the break.
That time, what the Knights are doing is they're jamming the passing lanes.
All right, back at him with Corey Walker hanging on rims. No passing lane to jam that time.
No. That getting easy baskets, every coach likes to see happen. Figuring out how to do that is the challenge.
And that ball was off South Florida. It'll stay baseline out. Dunk for dunk, back-to-back trips.
I tell you, right there in transition, that's what you want. Easy with Avery right there. And then coming right back with Sellers right there finishing. And Walker says, I got one for you too. Those easy transition baskets it comes off a hard defense, and you're able to turn people over and get easy baskets, and that's what coaches sell their team defensively, why to play hard and why to play the passing lanes.
It leads to a fun highlight when you do that too. A little zone look here. Johnson heavy on the three, an offensive rebound for Avery to reel it back in for UCF. Johnson, the high score the past couple of games for UCF. Can't get it going yet, and has that deflected out by Jaden Reed. That's what you were talking about, right?
Without question, and the Knights have to be careful. The Bulls have gone to the zone, but even in the zone, they have really quick hands, and they move, and they've got great lateral movement, so no lazy passing. They have to be really sharp with their passes.
Well, now a different zone, a 1-3-1 look after the 2-3. Hello, Avery, and a shot clock violation. That's two that South Florida has forced already.
Yeah, Knights haven't done a good job of recognizing the multiple defenses that have been thrown at them and how to attack each one differently.
Well, that feels like USF doing what UAB did to them in the semifinal, throwing the different zone defenses at them in that American semifinal game last weekend.
And Youngblood has not been a factor in this game so far.
Well, Diallo, a good shot blocker. It didn't matter with Sam Hines ducking in.
Yeah. I told you I thought Diallo would wind up playing Hines or...
Oh, hello, glass. Marcellus Avery with a banker for UCF from outside.
He's really stepped up and playing well for them right now.
Pull-up pop. Youngblood still not scoring yet. Youngblood and Johnson, two of the top guys without points. And Sellers in and out. And a good job by Hines to snatch that defensive rebound.
You know, Coach Dawkins said he really has loved this team and the way that they've stepped up with every challenge and come back after failures, and they're showing it tonight.
Selton Miguel from out deep to extend the lead.
Now Miguel, they better recognize where he is. He's one of the best tough shot makers that you will see. He's an offensive machine.
Also good in the open floor. Johnson with hands on it. And it's saved by Hines. But Reed with an air ball. Unfazed by one of the best shot blockers in the country. Sam Hines going in on Diallo.
Hines drives the ball hard and finishes at the rim and gives USF another great score.
Your thoughts?
It was a great competitive game, both of them. I was surprised the Tennessee game, that shot would go down in women's basketball lore.
The Cardoso bank shot, yeah?
Yes, indeed.
Well, can't wait to watch the women's tournament starting tomorrow. ESPN and ABC are home for everything women's basketball throughout the tournament. Antoine Jones will head to the free throw line for UCF, chasing 5 because of some turnover troubles early in this game, Coach.
Yeah, the last time out they had 4, and that's too many for this time of the game. But what it's done is the changing defenses by the Bulls has forced the Knights to not concentrate on going inside. I think they have to get back to getting the ball in the post area.
That's where Johnny Dawkins and UCF went on the first possession. They went right into Diallo, their starting center. USF has kept him out of there for most of the first half since then. Nothing doing for Jones at the free throw line. Opening round of the NIT. The winner of this game gets the winner of tomorrow night's game on ESPN2. VCU against the top seed Villanova, who were just left out of the NCAA tournament field after their run deep into the Big East tournament. 5 on the shot clock for Reed, the freshman point guard, with a shake underneath. It's short, didn't hit the rim, and it's going to UCF either on a shot clock or it should be, right? They said it was out of bounds off UCF, but
yes.
Shot clock's at 0. All right, shot clock violation confirmed. This is this part of the bracket, the 4-team quad leading into the second round. Villanova, VCU, little East Coast matchup tomorrow.
That'll be a good basketball game. Both teams felt they should have been in the tournament.
VCU went to the A-10 championship game, lost to Duquesne. Stolen by Hines, tipped away by UCF. Ooh, okay. Hello. We're getting busy on press row tonight.
I'm telling you. Johnson's got to do a better job. You know, we talked about him in the open. He's been the very emotional leader for this Knights team, but he's got to do a better job handling this basketball and attacking this 1-3-1. Twice he's had passes deflected or stolen.
Darius Johnson for UCF, 15 points a game. Showed you his numbers at the top. 25 per game over the last couple of weeks. Pryor into the post, short on that, and a rebound strong from Silla.
They like Allen to run the point a lot of times so Johnson can get off and hunt his shot.
Those two playing off each other here. It's Allen spinning in, went to the left, and Silla was a little bit too early on that tip back.
See, but right now the Knights are not getting shots out of their offense. Everything, all the shots they're getting are being created. Great ball movement. That's the ball movement I'm talking about for the fans, maybe the first time seeing this Bulls team play. They do an excellent job of moving the basketball and getting easy looks.
The first career postseason game for Jaden Reed. First career points for the freshman guard on that 3. So the biggest lead of this first half for South Florida comes at 19-11. And there's another turnover for the Knights.
But again, they're just out of sync. There you see Miguel moving the ball, setting up Reed, knocking down the jump shot.
I know you've watched a little bit at Selt Miguel over the past couple years. Biggest difference from last year to this year is what?
I think, and coaches talk about his acceptance to come off the bench, his acceptance to put the team first, and his acceptance in winning basketball games. That's all he cares about.
There's Reed. Another 3 for Reed. Back-to-back hits for Jaden Reed. And a timeout for UCF.
Yeah.
Timeout in Orlando with the Bulls up on the road.
And move the basketball. Now he's stepping up and making shots. He doesn't play like a freshman.
A wide miss for UCF and a foul tacked onto it too on Omar Payne after Avery went soaring in there. South Florida putting together a good run here.
The mistake Avery made, like a lot of young players, he went away from the contact, trying to avoid it when you got to go into it and make the layup. You got to take a path to the basket that allows you to make the shot. If a guy blocks it, he blocks it. But normally you'll get fouled because you're looking to make the contact instead of avoiding it.
Well, he sees great shot blockers in his own gym every single day. A lot of practice against big bodies. And that's turned over. Reed trying to hook up with Stroud.
Stroud was talking to the coach and Reed was playing. So either Reed should have held it while Stroud's talking to the coach, or
don't throw that pass? Which one?
Well, you got Stroud should be able to listen to the coach and watch read.
Multitasking is hard sometimes. Led to the turnover here. Sellers on the step back, and that goes down.
See, but right now, the Knights is making tough shots. UCF, I think they got to move the ball a little bit more. I think they got to go inside out. I think they've got to make the Bulls work harder defensively than what they're doing.
Here comes Pryor to set the screen. Out to Miguel. He's given no grounds on Shamari Allen. Now he gets free, and he hits the three.
He is a great, tough shot taker. He's the best one-on-one player on the floor right now.
It looked like Allen had that totally shut off on that first sequence. And then Miguel found some freedom.
See, that's the problem.
Well, how about that pass and run out? The 180 slam for Pryor.
They've got the Knights have to move the basketball. They get it in. They can't hold it. They got to move. They got to cut. They got to get more fluidity on their offense right now.
They could use a couple. Why haven't we seen much scoring from him?
Because I think UCF is out of sync offensively. I think when they get in sync, they play inside out or they're in transition. He's able to get looks. I think right now he is not getting good looks because they haven't been able to move the basketball. It's getting stuck, and they haven't been able to get the ball inside since early in the game to play inside out.
It's looked a little bit like a rock fight. Could use more scissors and paper, huh?
I think playing better defense, rebounding the ball, and moving the ball offensively would be the answer.
Spoken like a true DeMatha man. Here's Johnson trying to probe into the lane. Kick out three. And that almost banked in for Allen, but it's run down by Pryor on the miss.
And what I mean, the ball never touched the paint. And so let's see how many times they come down and the ball not touch the paint.
And Johnson influenced that. Allen flushed it.
That's where you want to finish, in the paint. You're going to try to get transition, but this Knight defense is one of the elite in the country. It's been the thing that has carried them over some big wins this year. They've got to turn it up right now.
Tyler Hendricks got caught on that screen, and Pryor made him pay with a three.
Well, now we answer who's going to guard Pryor as Hendricks.
UCF a little bit short-handed tonight. That's a foul, and they'll count that basket.
No, they're saying it was out on the floor. They said it was out on the floor.
He was making the motion like.
Well, a lot of people are making them. A lot of people are making a motion, but certainly the foul was out on the floor. There's the foul call. He hadn't even let the ball go. So don't get in the habit of listening to players. That'll get you in trouble every time.
No, the near side official said count it at first. And then he used two hands and said, no, it's on the floor. The UCF thought it counted too. There's the hook for Omar Payne. At least that's how I'm going to cover my tracks.
Now they're getting the ball back inside, and now they're getting a little bit more flow. The Knights are in their offense.
Johnson called for that touch foul.
Watch the paint. That's where you have to go. You want to make them have to either come down and double it, or you keep feeding the big guy and let him go to work.
Where that ball was caught is interesting. You'll notice on the floor in the NIT, the lane lines are wider. That is by design as an experimental rule, as Pryor hits that. Experimental rule to widen out the lane and reduce some of the clutter around the basket.
Well, that's kind of the European model, and they've talked about that for a long time. And as big guys are shooting threes more, it's probably going to find its way into the college game even more so.
Yeah, it is the European width with how they've widened out that lane. So a little bit more space inside there. Hines went airborne, lost it. It'll be UCF ball. Back to that point about UCF being a little bit short-handed. C.J. Walker not in there today. He's a guy that could carve out some space if he was playing inside that wider lane in the NIT.
He had some knee surgery done, and sometimes it swells up on him, and it's swollen up, and so therefore he's not playing today. Now the Bulls go with their 1-3-1 just to give a different look.
And that different look, it does go into the paint, and the lefty hook for Payne goes down.
That's when it really doesn't matter when you really move the basketball and you look to get the ball inside.
The Pryor contested three. Nope, Hines active, second chance, swarms, and he's fouled. There were 3 Knights down there. There was one Sam Hines, and he's the one that got the ball.
Well, I tell you what, I mean, Hines has really been good inside. He and Stroud are undersized big guys that have played well all season for the Bulls. And he got fouled 2 or 3 times before it was over. But they've done a lot of the heavy lifting in the paint area.
Well, that was the third foul on Payne, by the way. Was waiting to see which of the 3 guys. You mentioned he got hit a bunch. It was Payne, which is a bad break for the Knights because he was already playing with some foul trouble. Now he's got 3.
But this is one thing with this Bulls team. I mean, they don't look physical, but they're very skilled. And they play the game off of their skill set, being able to pass, being able to dribble, being able to shoot.
Let's help them build a 13-point lead on the road against their rival. Sellers in tight, no, got it back, went to the other side. Sellers wanted to foul on that too.
Well, he wanted to foul on the initial drive.
He was screaming at the baseline ref after that make. Ripped away by Johnson, but numbers back for USF. He didn't mind. Didn't get the bounce, and a big-time rebound to finally score. Will that be the start for Darius Johnson on the board for the first time?
Right now, the Bulls are spreading the floor, and right away, Miguel drives the basketball.
War on I-4.
Really good crowd.
Two-hour travel for the fans from Tampa for South Florida to get here. Both bands are here. It was loud pregame.
It was.
It's been loud in game. And Miguel at the free throw line extends it back to 10 for South Florida.
This young man here, as a coach, you really respect him. Coming off the bench, being the scorer that he is, he's not complained about it. He's done a great job of coming in, and he's very instrumental in the success of the Bulls this year.
Well schooled. He started his college career playing for the great Bruce Weber at Kansas State, a couple years there. And stayed through the coaching change at South Florida. And it's turned into a 15-point per game scorer, Selton Miguel. He has the Bulls out in front by 11. And some banging in the lane. Kobe Knox will be called for that foul.
But see, at that time, UCF took some patience and started moving the basketball, and they're able to pick up foul. And that's what I'm saying. The ball's got to go from one side of the floor to the other side, make the defense move, and then you're able to drive some lanes. Then you're able to step up and get some shots, or you get to the foul line. They need Sellers to get going. Sellers is 3 for his last 21 from the three-point line.
There's Johnson off a shot fake. Count that, and 1. And he'll get a chance to the free throw.
But again, you get that with a little ball movement. And there you see he's able to drive the gap, get to the rim. He doesn't avoid the contact. He goes into the contact, makes the shot. Watch him right again. See him go into the contact. Good players go into the contact. They don't avoid it.
That's what you're talking about with Avery earlier.
Yes, he tried to avoid it, missed the shot, and there was no foul call.
And that was the first free throw made of this first half for UCF. So in one possession, you called for 2 things. They need to get point paints. They need to get free throw points. They got both on one play from Darius Johnson. Placer started hot and turns it up again from 3.
They've got to close out on him.
He has 8 first half points in his hometown. Sellers got to the paint. Diallo was down there jostling. And a foul against USF on Hines.
I talked about Sellers, and we'll talk about Placer real quick. Watch the way they move the ball real quick. He gets his feet set. The key to him knocking down threes is getting his feet set. He gets his shoulder square and he knocks it down. I talk about Sellers. One of the things, Sellers has not taken a shot where his feet has been set and he's been on balance. Everything has been leaning right or left. And when the ball's not going in the hole, you need a good, clean look.
Diallo cannot hit UCF into the bonus with 18 fouls for South Florida. And the next foul against UCF will send the Bulls to the free throw line. Oh, that almost banked in for Youngblood. Didn't get the bounce though. 3, Johnson. Oh, he would have really been starting to turn it up, but there's Avery going right up this time.
The advantage the Knights have is on the glass. They have to make that really pay off and work for them.
Well, they're +3. UCF is in this first half, but trailing much of this first half. Johnson raked it away, and it came free back to the Knights. Corey Walker got the last touch on it.
But it was a lot of contact in that scrum, I'm telling you. It was a lot of it.
That looked more war-ish than the rock, paper, scissors we saw from the mascots.
Watch this. Watch Avery. He's there. He's crashing the offensive glass. He's fighting for it right there. That's the advantage that the Knights have, I think, is on the glass. They've got to be able to take advantage of that. And one way of doing that is move the basketball. Take it from side to side. Less dribbling, more passing, more player movement, I think is what they need.
The ball sticking here with Johnson until he goes, and back to the free throw line. Hines saying he was straight up. He's the guy called for the foul. That's number 2 on Hines.
Yeah. The hardest thing to guard is a drive on a closeout. So if you move the ball and make them have to close out on you, which Johnson did, and then drive it, it's very difficult to guard.
I take that back. Hines has 1 foul. They got the earlier foul on Walker. Just 1 foul on Hines now. You know, UCF, they hadn't made a free throw until they got one of their best to the line in this half. Johnson getting there for the second time in short order, and we're going to call that a producer's jinx.
And you
Thank you, producer. We're not going to name names, but Eric Postman. Jinx the foul shooter.
A lot of times, how well a team is shooting fouls is who's taking the shots. Sometimes I've been on teams where our bigs went to the line most of the time, and we were not considered a good foul shooting team because our bigs were the ones shooting it.
Well, that foul put Corey Walker at the free throw line for a 1-and-1. It goes through.
If I am South Florida, I love this first half and how this game has been played and the flow of this game because it has favored them. This hasn't been a power game. It's been more defense and skills, and they've been able to run up and down the floor. They almost have 40 points in a half with these to an 80-point game. I would really like that.
Fast break points only attribute what you do going straight to the basket, but transition points, when you're still in your transition offense, a completely different thing, and we've seen some more of that for USF.
Yes, and they've been able to utilize their skills, which is dribbling, shooting, passing, is really effective in the transition game.
Avery wildly into the lane, got his own, and back up, and he's wrestled down by Walker.
This South Florida team, I mean, they're not overly tall, they're not physically imposing, they play hard, they play relentless, and everybody rebounds the ball. Yeah. They have 9 offensive rebounds already. I mean, and that's because of the teamwork and how hard they play.
Yeah, UCF turning those into points, too. They have 10 second chance points to the 1 for South Florida. You can get offensive rebounds, but if you do nothing with them, who cares?
But that's their advantage of being able to crash the glass, and they'll be easier to do that once they move the ball, I think, a little bit more and get better shot opportunities.
Pryor came back into the game for South Florida on that free throw with 1.5 minutes to go until halftime. First round of the NIT. And the war on I-4 rivalry getting renewed out of conference now in the postseason. Some of this history, you go back to when USF went to the Big East. UCF felt like they were kind of being left behind. And then they were rivals again in the American. And that flip kind of got stripped this past year with UCF going to the Big 12. And Youngblood got shoved.
Yeah.
And Allen will send him to the free throw line.
It was really no need for that. He didn't have to go over the top. He could have went underneath the screen and still been there.
Well, how about this? Youngblood's going to the line here. 1:22 left in the first. The top scorer for South Florida has not scored, and the Bulls lead by 8.
But that just shows you the talent of this Bulls team. They've had 7 different guys lead them in scoring this year. That's unique for a basketball team.
Helps to have a good bench.
Well, it does, and he's got a lot of good players, and he empowers them to step up and play, and the style in which they play encourages that.
And the top 2 guys off of the bench for South Florida, Selton Miguel, 15 points per game. That'll help that bench point number that you saw. Then Jaden Reed comes off the bench, almost 7 points a game.
When I was at Tulane and we ran the posse, one fan said, "Coach, I think you're starting the wrong group."
You just had 10 starters, right?
It worked for us, though. I said, "Thanks for your help."
Sellers for 3. In and out. Diallo, second chance. Brought it down, though. And the Bulls capitalize. Miguel out in front. Johnson ran him down. Scramble for it. And Placer to the free throw line.
Miguel that time tried to quick the basket. I thought he had time to gather himself and maybe dribble out and then attack. You see when they kick it out, he got too far underneath and didn't really have a good angle. But the hustle with the rebound. Placer, he's got his family here today. He's from this area. He does not want this to be his last game because he's really playing well.
No, he doesn't. A career that has taken him as a college player to Baltimore at UMBC, to Jacksonville here in the state of Florida. He was at North Florida for a couple years and now closing it out at South Florida, where he played his high school basketball in this town, his rival's town in Orlando, close to UCF's campus.
Most high school players in Florida, if they can stay in Florida and play, like staying in Florida to play. So if they go off and they get a chance to come back, a lot of them really enjoy coming back.
Well, Placer went to UMBC the year after they beat Virginia as a 16 seed. Just that 1 year there, and a strong left-hand finish for Sellers.
That time Sellers went to the basket, didn't try to fade away.
So this is a 7-point game. USF is led by as many as 14 points. The Bulls will not try to go 2 for 1. They had an outside chance at it if they went real quick. Down to 10 on the shot clock. Youngblood gave it up. Placer having a great first half. And a timeout for Johnny Dawkins, or no, timeout for USF.
Yes.
Bump it up a second. It's 14.7.
The Bulls come out in a 2-2-1.
The shot clock is off, and Reed fouled, and UCF is in the bonus.
Coach Raheem looked at him and said, "Why did you do that?" That had nothing to do with what we talked about in the huddle.
Not quite the Rob Senderoff reaction that we saw in the MAC title game the other night. Did you see that?
I missed that.
That game ended?
I missed that one.
Very, very A sad ending for Kent State. Akron, obviously, they're not going to complain about it. They went to the NCAA tournament, but Kent State went up by 1 and then accidentally fouled Akron with about 4 seconds left. Akron wins the game, goes to the NCAA tournament. Pryor reels in the miss. Inside 10 seconds to go with the shot clock off here. USF trying to add to the lead. Hines give up. Miguel, deep 3, cashes that in.
I told you he makes tough shots. There's nobody that makes tough shots in this country any better than he does. At any pace that they want to, and they're very successful with it.
I have a proposal since we're doing experimental rules in the NIT. The logos, which are beautifully designed, a little homage to the glass windows at Hinkle Fieldhouse. Experimental rule for next year. If you hit one from the NIT pad, like Miguel did, you get 4 instead of 3. You down with that? Can we put that in front of the committee?
Nobody listens to me with the rules and officials, so it
sounds like you disagree. It sounds like you're non-committal. Well, second half starts with Sellers hitting from the mid-range for UCF.
That's a big shot because he's a scorer for them. He is not. He's been shooting the ball real well. They need him to step up and score the basketball. The Knights has a whole half right now. They can take their time. It starts with playing good defense.
Now Pryor hits him back with a 3.
The spacing that this Bulls team plays with and the way that they share the basketball is really special. I told you it's a Cinderella year.
They felt like they were 1 win away from being an at-large. They got to the semifinals of the American tournament after the regular season title. And USF just that 1 game away from being in the big dance. 5 on the shot clock. We got to get to work here. Down to 2. Johnson, quick fire. Got that.
That's a big-time shot, but that's not the way you want to make your living if you're the Knights. You want to get the ball in the paint. You want to get to the foul line. You want to put yourself where you can offensive rebound because you're driving the basketball and collapsing the defense.
I feel like I've watched the Johnson brothers do that a million times this season. His brother Xavier, great player at Southern Illinois, one of the top 5 scorers in the country, hit a ton of shots late in the clock, just like Darius did.
I saw them play together in high school, and they were really a good combination. I really thought they were going to go to the same school together.
Turnover here for Johnson. Pryor wanted it, got it, hit it.
Yeah, Pryor is a really good skill player. You know, we talked to Coach earlier about the personality, and he said that Pryor brings it, and then Johnson comes right back and knocks down a 3.
The Pete Davidson lookalike. That's what student sections all across the American this year have showered onto Cason Pryor. Stroud's going to the free throw line.
But you see that pass from Pryor to Stroud that time? I mean, it was right on the money and got him fouled. Sharing the basketball is probably the hardest trait to teach a team, because nobody comes out and practices passing the ball to somebody else.
Well, this is interesting in the second half. This has become a tradition since the Kansas game here at UCF.
But it has no effect. They have Palms in Tampa, so it doesn't really take them by surprise.
There's no way they're putting those inside the practice facility. You think they practiced with those this week?
No, but they've seen them before, so it's really not a distraction.
So if you see an object on the street and then it's placed behind the basket, no problem. Got it. Down with that logic. Here's Sellers slicing in for 2 more. And Sellers has been begging for a foul to be called on several of his drives tonight. Placer, hot hand in the first half, poke from behind. UCF starting to turn up a little pressure.
They've got to get the ball in the paint.
They do. Diallo lost the ball but got fouled.
Watch Johnson driving the ball real hard. It ball's in the paint, collapse the defense. Sellers gets an easy one out of it, and that's what I'm talking about. That's the way you've got to get back in this basketball game. Move the basketball, get in the paint, get easy baskets.
And that reaction, that's the one I was talking about. We've seen a lot tonight from Sellers. You mentioned it was a little bit of a struggle for him. You look up Sellers' 11 points, but he's done it on 11 shots.
Yeah, and he's a shooter, and his ability to knock down threes helps stretch the defense a lot of times, and it creates driving lane. He hasn't been making them, so all of a sudden you don't have to extend.
Avery got in there to keep it alive, but that'll be out off of Sellers. Back to the Bulls. And South Florida hanging 49 points in the first half against a team in UCF that is top 15 in the country in defensive efficiency.
And they've done it by sharing the basketball. And they've done it without Youngblood having one of his better scoring days.
Here he is, quick release. And still a little bit of a lid on the rim. No field goals for Youngblood, just 2 points for the top scorer for the Bulls. Sellers thought about it. He's been struggling from outside, so goes inside. Oh, he got the foul call. This time doesn't get the bounce.
In which they were going.
It's the Sellers at the free throw line for UCF with one more coming. And South Florida was right there as the regular season champion going to the semis. It was UAB that ended up winning the AAC tournament over Temple. And the AAC got two teams in. They got UAB, their conference tournament champ, and FAU.
And Andy Kennedy just did a tremendous job. He is a really outstanding, I think he's one of the best bench coaches in college basketball.
He'll be a 12 seed in the NCAA. Well, FAU will be in the 8-9 game against Northwestern, leading into UConn in Brooklyn. And the pull-up pop, not there for Youngblood. Still without a field goal for South Florida.
Quality shots is important for the Knights.
Allen probing. Well, got a quality look. Tight to the rim, no finish.
Yeah, but again, he faded away from the basket instead of going into the basket and wasn't quite able to finish.
Stroud playing with his offhand. Got to his right finally, but underneath the rim. And Allen had numbers if he wanted it. Now the Bulls recover. The three is off. Stroud lost it. Out of bounds back to the Knights.
Good on-balance shots right now for the next 5 minutes is very, very important for the Knights.
The look of the head coaches was almost the exact same. Stoic with a little shake of the head. Neither guy looked real pleased about how that last sequence went. Sellers short, crawled up there to get his own. Johnson three, no. Third shot at it for the Knights.
That's a shot Johnson normally makes.
Third one with the lid still on. Avery with the miss.
I mean, you can't question any of those shots. Those were all three of those last misses were really quality shots.
Why do you think the coaches were shaking their heads right before that?
A multitude of things.
Everything. Backdoor pass for Placer was nice. Youngblood with his first field goal.
Again, sharing the basketball. You know, so many things run through coach's mind. You've explained things to your kids. You watch film, and all of a sudden they're not doing what you practice. It could be little things, how you handle ball screens, where you want to get the ball. It's that time the Knights get back inside. You know, it just keeps coaches up at night.
I think that pocket pass and that footwork will make Johnny Dawkins lose the head shake a little bit. And the steal for Sellers. 3-on-2. Sellers, man at the top, but a foul. Pryor getting the students that made the trip from South Florida up on their feet.
Watch Placer, the young blood right there. Good look on the back cut. And then watch the drive right here. And that looked like it was a good block. Pryor has been told, don't say anything to the officials, but you see that look? Oh, he immediately went to the student section underneath the basket and started raising his hands to cheer. He's Mr. Personality, I tell you what. But I tell you one thing, he is a good basketball player. He's got talent. And if you're going to have somebody that's going to have personality, you like him to have talent.
That's why he's gotten some Birdman comparisons. Remember the former Miami Heat player, Mohawk, tattoos, he's got some of that. You mentioned the Pete Davidson comparison. But all the flash, all the sizzle has also led to production. Back-to-back-to-back double-doubles for Kason Pryor. And you can't leave him open. Jose Placer has been a hot offensive player for South Florida. Scores again.
Well, without question, I mean, he's really played very well. He might be their most consistent player today. You know, you can't fake it. You got to come stop the ball, make them make the next pass. But the Knights from the foul line struggles are really going to come back to hurt them because several of their misses at the line has been one-and-ones.
Well, they're 9 of 18. The Knights are from the free throw line. Sellers banging in, and he's done a good job getting there. Can he get the Knights
play and help win games? I know they were very disappointed he did not make he didn't make the all-conference team. But his contribution to this Bulls team has certainly been recognized by the coaching staff and the players.
Who's the loosest player you've ever seen on a college basketball floor?
Oh, wow. I had an incident with the great Wayman Tisdale when he was at Oklahoma, and we were playing them, and I was telling the guy his moves he was going to make and how we needed to guard him. And he looked over at me because he always liked to spin baseline. He said, "Coach, you're right." Spun baseline, we fouled him, he went to the line and made a three-point play.
You don't forget that.
No, he was very loose.
You could believe it if Kason Pryor did something like that. And a game down to 7, and that's a foul on Johnson. Darius Johnson saying, who? What? Me? And one fan courtside that's clearly a Knights fan said, "You are full of blank."
Well, watch it right here. Let's see what happens. No, they called him for a trip. He didn't even know the guy was cutting by.
So Johnson called for his third foul. That could be important. 13 and a half minutes to go. Bad call, says the Knights crowd. And Johnson takes it away, leading the break. Sellers lays it home.
I tell you this about Johnson. He gets fired up. That call might get them going.
Oh, he's mad, and he just got him the ball back.
Yeah.
Darius Johnson engaged on the press.
Watch Johnson pushing the ball right there. They're able to score. He jumps in defensively and able to get a steal.
Well, vocal ping pong now. With some fans in green making the trip.
Then they can't let this zone slow them down. They still have to attack in the paint.
Driving kick. Johnson shot fake. Got the blow by and the three.
They may have woke him up. They may have woken him up. He's an emotional player.
It was about the stuff that happened after. I think he's still most emotional about what started it all. And I got the Knights floor slapping.
It looks like they're in a 2-3. They just raised the wing to match with the shooter.
And a foul called against that same player. Darius Johnson called for his fourth. Shamari Allen's trying to take credit for it. But Johnson, the top scorer for UCF, now in big foul trouble.
That's not a foul.
Oh, that should have been on
Yeah, that's
Allen.
not a foul.
If it was on Allen.
Yeah,
He had the slap.
That's not a foul.
So Johnson has to
And
sit
one of
down.
the things, I mean, and I'm a big proponent. I think referees work extremely hard. I see them in the summer, and they're at clinics, and they're working on their craft. I think the difference between really good officials. Oh, look at Pryor. Look at Pryor.
Had absolutely no space to get that up.
You talk about emotional players.
Well,
he is really talented. I mean, he may have some antics, but he is really talented.
And a slapback three for Silla.
And Silla and Pryor are talking to each other now.
Here we go in the war on I-4. USF led by 15, now trading punches. Reed looking for space, he's got speed. Ran into a wall, Pryor on the kick out. 8 on the shot clock. And Pryor, he threw it off the face. And it goes out of bounds. Off the face of Silla. Hello.
Yeah, but he came and told me he didn't mean it. He was just trying to throw it down. But what I was going to say on officiating, really good officials understand the difference between activity and fouls. And sometimes you get activity.
Got to hurry here. 2 on the shot clock from the logo. And it'll be UCF ball with a chance to tie or take the lead.
This is the advantage of playing at home right now. You see this emotion that's in this building. Let's see if the Knights can feed off of that.
UCF has not led since it was 4-3. 2.5 minutes into the game. Allen looking to tie it off the rim and secured by Kobe Knox. Knights fans wanted to carry. Miguel, shot fake, backs the three.
You got to stay in front of him.
Miguel up to 14 points on 4 triples in this game. And USF has hit 12 of them. Avery's got size and towering over Jaden Reed for a 3. That first foul on Johnson has electrified this game. And another chance for UCF to tie or take the lead. And with Johnson, one of their best players, on the bench with 4 fouls.
But they can't get mesmerized by the 3. They got to go back and attack the basket.
Avery recovers from the bad pass. Sellers for the lead. Tips off. And here comes Miguel downhill. 1-on-1. No. And UCF ball. They do call a foul.
To at least 5-minute mark.
Okay. He's 1 foul away. Darius Johnson is from fouling out. We got.
What did they call?
Is that the?
It looked like they call it on the Bulls.
We're going to review it.
But I'm lost right now. He made a call and he's reviewing his own call.
Yeah, Miguel went down and then the whistle and then the review signal.
I mean, you got to have a call to review something.
Well, I'm guessing Payne is called for an illegal screen. And then they're going to see if there's going to be an upgrade.
Okay.
I think that was the clarification that was just made.
Okay.
Omar Payne.
Yes, you did, son. You got him pretty good.
Yeah, they were slow putting that in the book, but Payne now up to 4 fouls. They held on to just 3 until that review was complete. So Payne and Johnson both with 4. Now USF trying to hold on to this lead, and Miguel, who took that big shot, will go to the free throw line. Coach, you think about it.
If I were the Knights and Miguel had the ball, I would really focus on him and make him give it up, because right now he is shooting the ball very, very well, and he's the best one-on-one player that's on the floor right now for the Bulls.
And tied for the team high with 14 points. And Miguel now standing atop with 15.
I don't think those palm trees are going to be much of a distraction when you live in Tampa. You drive past them every day. The fact that they're in the gym does not necessarily awe me. Now, if you had some buffaloes or if you had, you know, another sort of scenery that you don't see, maybe it's the distraction, but not palm trees.
So you got to go like to the opposite coast or opposite part of the country?
You got to give them something that they're not used to be a distraction.
Got to bring in Bevo from Austin, Texas. That'll get them.
That would get their attention.
A 4-point game after Miguel adds to his team high 16 for USF. Fallen away, not here. The defense from Walker, and he hands off to Miguel. And South Florida has been in some of these spots in conference play where they've built big leads, have had to hang on, and that was tantalizingly close to going down. The FAU game comes to mind when USF was up 25 points and had to hang on late. Part of their 15-game winning streak. And that jumper is pure for Avery.
Avery has stepped up this second half, and he's had a really good half for the Bulls. But again, they get within 2 points and can't seem to tie it or get a knock a three to go ahead for the Knights.
The biggest lead of 15 came in the opening minute of the second half for USF. UCF did lead early. Take to the rim, and there you go. Can't get their stop.
They can't.
When they're down 2.
But they don't want to get Youngblood going.
The top scorer for USF has had a quiet night. Can he separate late in this game? Oh, big block, Walker, with Allen falling down in his drive.
Allen has gotten to the rim 3 times and haven't been able to finish. Watch right there. He collapsed the defense, gets there, but he doesn't protect the ball and gets it blocked by Walker. Right now, Avery's been their best offensive weapon.
This is Allen, back to the rim, kept his feet this time.
You talk about persistence pays off. He's gotten there 3 other times. This time he finally finishes.
Now UCF has been in this spot several times since they clawed back from 15. They've never gotten all the way back. And driving kick, Stroud gives it up, Walker. Ball buzzing around. Miguel off a shot fake. And Miguel off the window.
Once the ball touched Miguel, you know something good was going to happen. He is an excellent offensive player, best one-on-one player on the floor.
The best news for USF is they get him back next year. 1 more year of eligibility after this. Into the paint. And Avery one more time getting a deep touch.
Avery's getting good shot selection. I like the pace in which he's playing because he's getting a good look at the basket and not rushing and taking bad shots.
A rivalry win on the line, so is a trip to the second round of the NIT here in Orlando. Inside 7 minutes, and a step on the baseline. Stroud lost his spot. Here we, well, he's got.
Winning is winning. Yeah. Building winning traditions is always important. The culture of your program and everything. As Johnson's back in the game.
Johnson back in the game with his 4 fouls. I was going to say, in 2017, UCF went to the semifinals of this event. 2 years later, they're playing in the NCAA tournament and are a tip back away from beating Duke in the second round. Be a little bit of a slingshot effect. 7 on the shot clock. Avery willing his way in and a little heavy. UCF looking for that big shot to finally get even. Stroud using the left hand to extend the lead.
The Knights have gotten close, but just haven't been able to tie it.
South Florida at their shoot-around today, Amir Abdur-Rahim, their head coach, stopped himself midway through his speech. He said, "We have a chance to win a championship," and he stopped himself and said, hold on, we have a chance to win another championship. They sense the specialty of every banner that they get to hang.
Allen has had tough luck finishing at the basket.
Well, and Stroud gets trampled. Look out here. Look out here. Got to get him separated. And down goes Allen. Miguel getting in there. He's face to face. Oh, we got pushing and shoving going. This looks like the war on I-4 you expect.
Yeah, but Miguel jumped in it, and he...
And I got to be careful if you're Corey Walker. Walker was jawing as he was running away.
Yeah.
With all of that, a whole lot of nothing now the clock didn't start. Got to get the shot clock going. So common foul on Allen. That's his third. Shamari Allen, his third foul, also assessed a technical. So that was his second and his third foul. The common foul, then the technical foul, give him 3. And then Corey Walker was called for a Class A technical foul. That was the only foul that went against South Florida, was Corey Walker's Class A technical. So we play on after it got a little bit heated, and a turnover kicked around, but it'll stay with USF.
It'll be interesting to see who that affects the most, whether or not it fires up one team or one team starts to lose a little steam.
You know, both coaches kind of downplayed what this rivalry means as far as the players. They say it's more for the fans, but I'm not so sure now. Placer, he finally missed one. He had been perfect tonight from the floor, 5 of 5. Maybe feeding off this energy of a mostly UCF crowd, but good rep from South Florida on the road here tonight in green. Here's Sellers for 3. Off there and back out to the Bulls.
See, I think just the opposite. I think both coaches are upset with the shot selection. When you just have something like that, take the ball to the basket. Referees are right now trying to make sure that they keep control of this. Make them blow their whistle on the drive. Don't bail them out by shooting threes.
Well, if you're USF, you got to think about going after Johnson, right? He's got 4 fouls.
Yeah, but just you got to drive the basketball. Unless you're Youngblood. If you're Youngblood, you knock down the 3.
And the lead grows back to 7 for South Florida. The Youngblood has had a tough night getting a shot up. He has 9, just like that. And an offensive foul. Stroud taking it, playing to the camera. And Diallo called for that. I think they're going to look at that for a potential upgrade with the swinging arms of Diallo and what we saw going to commercial there.
Yeah, I think the Bulls have a little bit of an advantage in this situation just because of the fact of how skilled they are, the way they share the basketball.
Well, Pryor had size in there, couldn't connect. Offensive rebound, not there. Youngblood tap. Does he get a 4th shot at it? No. Sellers away with it. UCF downhill with Johnson, but he has to slow it up with Miguel in his face. The winner of this game gets the winner of tomorrow night's first-round game, Villanova and VCU. Johnson step back. Air ball. Sellers reaches. Stroud the one to get there. Placer wants to push. Sellers comes back to win it away. Avery, nobody checks him. And Sellers off of him, out of bounds. South Florida ball. Well, the shooting was so hot in the middle part of the second half. It's
the Knights have had a lot of open looks, a lot of opportunities at the rim, and they just haven't been able to convert. Give the Bulls a lot of credit, though. Like I said, they're undersized, but they really compete hard on the glass, and that's what they've done.
And South Florida being undersized and fighting, they have forced 4 straight misses for UCF. It's a drought of almost 4 minutes for the Knights. 8 on the shot clock. Miguel, a great one-on-one player. Down to 5. Rockin', crossing over, giving up. Good hands. Avery with the swipe. Inside 3 minutes. UCF has not been able to get all the way back after they're down by 15. Johnson driving kick. Avery pulls and connects.
He has been a clutch player in this second half. He's made key baskets after key baskets.
Well, you never know when these teams are going to get to play again. This could mean bragging rights for a long time against a hated rival in the state of Florida. Down to 10. Pryor getting good resistance from Sellers on the re-attack. Shoulder fake. Pryor short. Jostle for the rebounds. Sellers grabs it, but a foul. And it's going against Youngblood.
They were banging pretty good on the rebound, fighting for position. It's hard to say who was pushing more than the other. This is a big time. Johnson sees he can't penetrate. He kicks to Avery, knocks down a jump shot, but it came off some penetration.
Hook and hold. But you have to have the hook, the clamp. You have to stay locked in.
Sometimes coaches just want, they just want something. They want,
It's funny. We were having that conversation today with Amir Abdurrahim. It was really, I was listening. You two were talking.
Yeah.
And a front end miss for Allen.
Allen has had a tough day. He's missed some layup. He's missed some foul shots. He's played very hard, but he's had a tough day.
Sitting on 4 points, missing that front end. And Shamari Allen trying to extend his career. He's out of eligibility once this season ends. And 4 different nights playing for their career to extend. Miguel with the step through, wouldn't stick. Offensive rebound and a foul down to the grounds. Over the limit both ways. This will be a 1-and-1 even though it was on the grounds. It will be foul shots even though it was on the ground. At least one coming for Pryor. This has been tense. It has felt like both teams want to be here, and how could you not? With the atmosphere we've had here and the stakes of this rivalry, plus keeping your season going. Into the palm trees, Pryor earns another.
They bring Knox in to get a little bit more size, rebounding the basketball.
And South Florida has done a brilliant job holding off a couple of different spurts for South Florida. The Bulls have led by as many as 15 points in this game. UCF has gotten it as close as 2 in this second half. Back with Coach here, Connor Onion, and this has been as good of a final 10 minutes as you really could have asked for after it looked like South Florida was going to run away with it.
Well, they came back, they made some shots, and have gotten back in the game. I think they may have to put Allen on the point, have Johnson come off some action to try to get him a 3. He's been there over the course of the season, their best 3-point shooter. And I think he's not going to be able to get a 3 by initiating, but if they can get him off the ball, then maybe they can get him on a pin down or some baseline action and get him a look.
Well, they've had looks. UCF has to tie or take leads. And South Florida's held him off every single time.
If he makes this, it'll be a 2-possession game.
And he does. Jason Pryor perfect on that 1-and-1 chance. Minute and a half to go. Well, that almost looked like the horns down signal on this play call.
1-3-1.
There's Johnson, and he's fouled. Did you catch that? The set play call from Johnson almost looked like.
Yes. Well, he called for a horns look. They tried to get a double post at the elbows, so I think they were thinking it was going to be man, and he could come off a screen.
Seemed like part trash talk, part play call. And Johnson at the free throw line. And of course, the Bulls go horns up. That's part of their call.
See, but it's too much talking.
Yep.
This late in the game, just play. Your play should be your talk.
And everybody's swapping sides of the lane here. They're going to get Miguel and Silla away from each other. So Miguel went over to the opposite side of the lane. Johnson misses.
Again, you know, the missing foul shots today has really, really hurt UCF.
Under 50% of the game.
Yeah, and the times when they missed would have put them in either tie the game or closer.
And he does correct on the second. For a team UCF that's struggled at times this year as a team to shoot, Johnson has not been a guy that has struggled. 82% from the line, but tonight he's missed 3 times. Splitting them made it a 5-point game. South Florida, a minute 21 seconds away from their first NIT win since 1995. It's been a lifetime for some. And Placer getting hounded. Got to get this across here, and a timeout. Just 2 seconds to get that across, or else it would have been a 10-second backcourt call. And just in the nick of time, South Florida gets a timeout. And it'll be a 30-second timeout. We'll keep it here. Reed just hit 2 big ones. He's at 75%. Pryor is an 80% foul shooter. Miguel also at 80. Youngblood at 81. He's the best. And the inbounder knocks into Miguel. UCF doesn't foul right away.
Now you got a foul.
They're looking around like they were going to foul. Hendricks didn't give it, and now they do.
And they're upset. They wanted Hendricks to give the foul earlier.
And that cost him 9 seconds. This is double bonus. It'll be 2 free throws no matter what for Kobe Knox. It'll be 2 possessions no matter what he does here. But leaves at least 1 on the table. They've gone offense, defense. UCF has with Darius Johnson playing with 4 fouls. Put Hendricks in for him. And Knox doesn't hit either of them. And Johnson working quickly. UCF trying to erase what was a 15-point lead for USF in the second half. Half a minute to go. Sellers is stripped. Reed away with it. And Reed is fouled and shoved into the cheerleaders. And South Florida over there with aggression. Sellers in there shoving for UCF. And here we go again. Reed and Allen at the end of it. Cool heads out of there.
Yeah.
But that could have been real bad in tight quarters again, just like we saw down the other way earlier. Good hands for Knox. That led to this break for Reed.
There you see, coming down. He's trying to get out of there. He gets banged pretty good.
When you're down there by the cheerleaders, it got a little claustrophobic down in the corner.
Yeah. Well, he got pushed and he jumped up, but I mean, one guy gets tripped by the cheerleaders. Johnson gets tripped by the cheerleaders.
That's his first, so nothing huge as far as the implications of those fouls. The big one is Johnson fouling out. And it's Reed at the free throw line. After the steal by Knox. A small brouhaha. And now made free throw for Reed. Johnson's been right in the middle of the emotional heat tonight.
He's an emotional player and certainly the bloodline for this night team. And, you know, it's a very disappointing time. I mean, you know, the NIT is like second life, and you hope to get a run in this, and now you sit there and the season could well be over.
And can UCF earn Johnson another game this season? Avery a 3. In and out. Rebound Miguel, and he is fouled.
Yeah.
South Florida 1 step closer to beating their rival for the 3rd straight time.
And to continue this Cinderella season, you know, if they finish this off, whoever they play, they're going to be in for playing against a team that is plays well together, is very skilled, and is really talented. This is not a fluke. This is a good basketball team. Very, very well coached.
It'll be their 25th win and what's already been a record-setting season. Their first ranking at South Florida, their longest winning streak, 15 in a row. Coach of the Year, Player of the Year. One game away from the NCAA tournament with a new coaching staff. And not finished yet. UCF down by 7. Got to happen fast though. Sellers inside 10 seconds. In and out. Pryor a rebound. 5 seconds to go and he's fouled with 4 on the clock. That will all but seal it.
Coach Raheem Pryor is still talking, and he's telling them, just tell them to be quiet and shoot the foul shot so we can get on the bus and go home. That's what happens when you have a personality. I mean, you know. But Pryor is a really talented basketball player, plays hard, and has really good skill set. And a lot of times when the Bulls play with 4 guards, he's asked to do a lot of things from rebounding to help breaking the pressure, to do a lot of things, set ball screens and pop. So, yeah, he does a really good job for him.
Well, there was a chance that FAU was going to dominate all the headlines in the American this year, but South Florida has done their part, winning the regular season and now beating their rival in the war on I-4. That basket will count, but it's finished. South Florida, for the 3rd time in a row, beats UCF.
Yo, listen up. Let me tell you about love and loss. Our hearts collide, the lines are crossed. In the dance of passion, we find our way. But sometimes love leads us astray. From the highs of ecstasy to the lows of pain. Love's a roller coaster, driving us insane. In the warmth of affection, we find our bliss. But when it's gone, we're left with emptiness. Love and loss hand in hand. In the journey of life, where we make our stand. Through the tears we shed and the battles we fought, we'll find solace in the lessons taught. In the depths of despair, we search for light, but sometimes love fades like stars in the night. In the silence of solitude, we mourn the loss, but through the pain, we'll rise like moss. For love's a journey with twists and turns, but even in darkness, a new flame burns. In the ashes of heartache, a phoenix rises. With love as our guide, we'll find new surprises. Love and loss hand in hand. In the journey of life, where we make our stand. Through the tears we shed and the battles we fought, we'll find solace in the lessons taught. For let's cherish the love we have in this fleeting life. For in love's embrace we find no strife. And though loss may come, we'll carry on. For love's eternal flame will never be gone. Yeah, in love and loss, we find our strength. In the ebb and flow, we'll go to any length. For in the tapestry of life, love's the thread, binding us together even after we're dead.